Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have another Jumpstart Historic Horizons fun. Again, I am having a lot of fun with this set and we're only a few days out from Innistrad, so I wanted to grab a few more games of this in between the Tinkerer's Cube drafts. Plus, these events are quite a bit shorter than Tinkerer's Cube drafts. The longest runs I have in these are about 1 hour, whereas my average Tinkerer's Cube draft run is 2 hours, so just let me get a few more videos out to you in the meantime. But anyways, let's play another Jumpstart Historic Horizons event here. 2,000 gold or 400 gems for two 20-card themed decks, slapped together to play against some opponents. So here we have Modular, Sarkhan, and Yawgmoth as the options. I guess Plague, not Yawgmoth, but Yawgmoth's on the cover. It's pretty much Yawgmoth, the deck. So Sarkhan is really cool, and I haven't played with Sarkhan yet. I think Sarkhan is also incredibly powerful, being able to conjure a Shivan Dragon into your hand every turn. So at worst, 4 mana, draw Shivan Dragon's pretty good. Shivan Dragon's a 6 mana 4/4 flyer with fire breathing, 1 red mana to give +1/+0 till end of turn. But I love my artifact stuff, so I'm kind of interested in going modular here, even though Sarkhan's an option. That being said, let's not get too samey here. Let's go for Sarkhan. Seems like a really powerful dragon deck, so try out Sarkhan. And it's possible that we hit the red-white modular deck after taking Sarkhan here. However, we did not. We have Rats, Madness, and Sliver Hive. So I don't think that Sliver Hive is actually that good, but it has some really fun, really cool cards for those that like slivers for Historic and Historic Brawl. So pretty good for cards for the collection, so I might scoop it up here. But if we wanted to make the strongest, most competitive Jumpstart deck here, I would probably go for Sarkhan Madness. Not only does it work really well flavorfully, I mean, Sarkhan the Mad is one of the Sarkhan Planeswalkers, it's also just a really good deck. I think that the Madness deck has some good removal, like the Terminal Agony. It's got some good synergies with the discarding and casting spells for cheap, and yeah, it's just a moderately aggressive deck to go with the Sarkhan Dragons and stuff. So Sarkhan Madness probably the best deck, but let's go with the Sarkhan Sliver Hive and grab some games here. 5-color, kind of big stuff here, going for some big dragons, some big planeswalkers, and some big slivers. Alright, we have a Rupture Spire here for mana of any color. Dragon Hatchling as one of our first plays. I'm going to keep this hand because of that Rupture Spire. This just seems like a really important land to have in the Sliver deck, so that whatever colors of cards we draw, we can cast them in the future. Like we could cast this blue card and this black card thanks to the Rupture Spire. Our opponent is playing a white deck here. We'll see what other colors they have. White and black, with Davriel as their avatar and Leonin Sanctifier as the first play. 2 mana for a 2/1 lifelinker that gives another card in their hand lifelink. Seems pretty good. So 3 mana here. We could cast Dragon Hatchling, Diffusion Sliver, or just Heartless Act something. I don't really want to use removal spell on such a small creature. I think I do want to play Forgotten Cave here, because I definitely want double red for Hellkite Punisher, and I want to make it to 7 mana. So I think I'm going to drop the Forgotten Cave, drop a Diffusion Sliver here, and I'm probably just going to trade for Leonin Sanctifier if they attack. Then my slivers won't have much protection, but it's not like I have any slivers in hand right now, plus Raise the Draugr. Getting some slivers in the graveyard for this is going to make this card more quickly castable. So Flourishing Fox from our opponent, a 1/1 that whenever they cycle a card, they get a +1/+1 counter on it. So they could go for a pretty big lifelinker there, thanks to the Leonin Sanctifier giving that lifelink if they cycle enough cards. Well, let's get a Cleaving Sliver out here. Trying to use a Heartless Act on this Flourishing Fox seems like a really bad idea, because they can just respond to us casting it by cycling a card to put a +1/+1 counter on it, and they'll just make the whole spell fizzle. So yep, there's the cycle. That gets a counter on the Flourishing Fox there. It's now big enough to trade into our Cleaving Sliver. Again, I think I'd be fine for that trade because we have Raise the Draugr. But It is looking like they may have removal here. They are eyeing our Cleaving Sliver a lot. Alright, no removal. Another Forgotten Cave. We'll play this because we have Hellkite Punisher in the future. Gonna be a big game-ending card if we can make it to 7 mana. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with the trade for the Fox here. So I'll just attack in. This might seem a bit bold, but if they block, then I just cast Dragon Hatchling and then cast Raise the Draugr in their end step to pick up the 2 slivers that died. Which just seems super fine to me. So no blocks means I'll just cast Dragon Hatchling and hold up Heartless Act or Raise the Draugr depending on what happens. If they spend a removal spell on the Cleaving Sliver, then I suppose Raise the Draugr will be. Otherwise, if they play a good creature, we can Heartless Act it. So the Flourishing Fox is up to a 3/3 status now, so they're probably trying to make it a 5/5 before they get into any combat. And there you go, it's a 4/4 now. Davriel's Withering. Target creature perpetually gets -1/-2. Well, pretty annoying. Pretty much the worst removal spell they could have for us, because perpetually means even in our graveyard, even if we bring this back and try to recast it, it's still a 1/0, so we can just never recast the Cleaving Sliver. But I suppose we can just treat it as if they played a removal spell that exiles it. Either way, they kind of blanked our Raise the Draugr pretty well. Returning that Cleaving Sliver is going to be just bad for us. So again, Heartless Act can't kill any creatures with +1/+1 counters on them, and even if I remove the 3 counters here, our Dragon Hatchling is not going to be big enough to trade, so I'm just going to take that damage for now. Removing 3 counters from the Fox would be like, okay. Just to have them deal less damage, but I'm hoping I can just draw a straight up removal spell in the future. Scion of Shiv seems great. 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer. For 3 mana it perpetually gets +1/+0. And then we can just hold on to Raise the Draugr for our dragons instead of our slivers. Seems cool. Suppose I hit for 1 damage with Dragon Hatchling here, or I hold it up for a chump block. I guess I'll hit for 1 damage here. Nothing else to do with my 1 mana. I could threaten the block of like 4 power to block with, but that seems like a terrible idea to me, because then they could like get us with a cycling card really easily. As you can see here, they cycled another card. So Banalish Partisan, whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. If you do, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and it perpetually gets +1/+0. Alright, well, I guess cycling was not good enough in Ikoria. They printed a brand new arena-exclusive Jumpstart Historic Horizons card to just be bonkers in the cycling deck. Alright, seems pretty good. Wingsteed Trainer gives them a Stormfront Pegasus into their hand when they play it and when they attack with it. Stormfront Pegasus being a 2/1 flyer. So here, I kind of want to Heartless Act the Wingsteed Trainer before they get more flyers, but I guess I can just block it with a 3/3. So we just pass here and hold up instant speed plays. This Flourishing Fox is really just going to get us, as it tends to do, as it has done many times before in Ikoria for me. Really the problem here is that we have Heartless Act in this deck and not just like a Doomblade or something. I wonder what the decision was there to put Heartless Act in the Sliver deck. But it's certainly hosing us here. Oh, good lord. Alright, double removal it is. They have 11 damage on board. We could survive with a Heartless Act here, but there's no coming back from this one here. The 5/5 lifelinking Flourishing Fox, that's probably a 6/6 or 7/7 that turn. It's way too much when Heartless Act is our only removal spell in hand. Alright. Heading into round 2. Got Sarkhan's Whelp turn 3, a 3-mana 2/2 flyer. Whenever we activate a Sarkhan ability, we deal 1 to any target, and then Sarkhan turn 4. Seems like a really good curve to me. I'll absolutely take it. If we hit a blue source, we could even turn 2 Diffusion Sliver, which would be pretty cool. Dragon Fodder. Well, that could be our turn 2 now. So we are still curving out. Dragon Fodder turn 2, Sarkhan's Whelp turn 3, Sarkhan turn 4. I guess we do need to hit one more land. So we've kind of got our fingers crossed for that. Gonna counter our Dragon Fodder. Alright, that's fine. The 1/1s weren't doing much for us. 2/1 flyer from Mentor Evos Isle here. Gives another card in their hand. Flying as well. So Sarkhan's Whelp is really, really good against this Mentor because it does just 1 damage. If we cast Sarkhan next turn, use an ability, we can just do 1 damage to the Mentor and kill one of their creatures no matter what, which should be exceptional. But they do have Exclusion Mage to just put the Whelp back into our hand. I think I'd rather recast the Whelp than cast Sarkhan here because I really want to be able to clear out one of their creatures when I use Sarkhan's ability. Otherwise, I just play Sarkhan +1 to make our dragons cheaper, and then Sarkhan's at 5 loyalty and takes 4 on board. Any pump would just completely get there. Take him out entirely. I think I just play Sarkhan's Whelp here. Lonely Sandbar is the card in hand for our opponent. Cycling that to draw another. I don't remember if you can get a mono-color deck in the new Jumpstart format. I think you can, so they might be mono-blue. Should be pretty cool. Ghostlit Drifter, a 2/2, so it does have 2 toughness, so that will not die to Sarkhan's Whelp. Fortunately, our opponent still has 2 mana up here. I hate that. I hate when our opponent has mana up in a blue deck, but there they go. Now they don't have mana up. Sarkhan's Whelp still has its abilities. Even if it doesn't have flying, it could still clear out the Mentor here, so we're absolutely going to do that. And we're going to +1 Sarkhan. That way it's possible Sarkhan doesn't immediately die. I suppose we could -2 Sarkhan to deal 3 to something. Oh, that would have been better. That would have been better. I didn't even notice the -2 down there. -2 to deal 3 to a creature. We could have killed Ghostlit Drifter plus the 2/1 flyer. Either way, that's going to be too much for our opponent. They don't have any pump spells in hand. They could shoot Sarkhan for 4 in the sky, put him down to 1 loyalty, but then we +1 Sarkhan. Sarkhan goes up to 2 loyalty. Sarkhan's Whelp does a damage to them, and we're casting Volcanic Dragon for cheap. We actually would have been in a lot better position using the minus ability on Sarkhan, but either way, our opponent is over it there. So pretty big misplay with Sarkhan there. Actually, I'm glad that I did make that misplay in a game where it didn't matter. Always happy to make mistakes. It's just an opportunity to learn. Now I know for sure what the Sarkhan's minus ability does. Sarkhan just has so much going on the card. I was like, alright, well, it's really good with just these first 2 abilities. I didn't even notice how good the 3rd one is. Being able to clear out a creature with that as well. Alright, this hand is great. Multiple colors of mana for the Sliver deck, and a great Dragon Tribal card here, turn 4. Whenever a dragon becomes the target of a spell or ability, the Thunderbreak Regent is going to damage our opponent for 3. We have double red here, and a green, so I guess we just grab a blue, black, or white here. I don't know if it really matters. I guess I'll grab a black source, because we did have Heartless Act and Raise the Draugr in our first game, so we had multiple black cards. We do have a Prophetic Prism as well, so our mana is just so good here that I don't think it really matters. Faceless Agent. It'll be interesting to see if we have more dragons or more slivers in this deck. I assume more slivers, because the Sarkhan deck does have some, like, dragon fodder style cards for making creatures, but the Sliver deck I think is, like, exclusively slivers. I guess we'll see whenever we cast Faceless Agent. Anyways, there I chose to cast Prophetic Prism instead of Dragon Fodder so that we can lean into our Flame Sweep to deal 2 to everything except for our flying creatures. So I don't want to put any non-flying creatures on the board that have 2 or less toughness, because then they'll just die to the Flame Sweep. Faithless Salvaging. They discard a card and draw a card, and then they do it again next turn. So 2 mana, discard 2, draw 2. Discard a Cordial Vampire. So it could be goblins and vampires here with Goblin Arsonist. Although I'm not sure the goblins deck uses that that red draw spell, Faithless Salvaging. Could be the scrap deck, the junkyard deck that we had that other time. I am going to go ahead and cast Faceless Agent here. Sure, it just dies to Flame Sweep, but it draws us a great card either way. And it looks like Slivers is the more prevalent creature type as I thought it would be. So a Rage Forger from our opponent. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other shaman you control. It's the Shaman deck in red. I haven't played against the Shaman deck before, I think. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, deal a damage to a player or planeswalker. Seems like a really good card in general. I could just Flame Sweep here. Sure, I'll lose my Faceless Agent, but this is just going to die as soon as the Arsonist dies anyway. Just clearing out some of their board seems pretty decent. But I could also just do it later on, because I can just cast a flyer here that won't die to the Flame Sweep anyway. Could also play Tempered Sliver and attack with Faceless Agent. That's actually interesting. Because then they trade Faceless Agent for Rage Forger, or Faceless Agent becomes a 3/2, which is out of reach of Goblin Arsonist's ability. This might be kind of dumb, but I like that idea a lot, because then we start getting proactive here and like having an aggro fight. Thunderbreak Regent would be a super solid play too. But I'm hoping by playing this way, I might be able to like whittle down their board and removal and stuff to just start closing things out with the dragons and still have a Flame Sweep backup, which could be really, really good. If I just play this game like a regular aggro versus aggro match, just with the Sliver cards that we have available right now. Yeah, we get rid of one removal spell there to kill the Tempered Sliver. That would not have killed the Thunderbreak Regent, but it would have made it a 3/2. Vampire of the Dire Moon. Well, there's another card that'll die to a Flame Sweep, so Flame Sweep looking really spicy next turn. Probably the play. They have one card left in their hand, so we might be able to just wipe their whole board here. And they're down to one card against our many. Alright, and I would rather Flame Sweep pre-combat, because if I attack in with our 3/2, it just trades with the lifelinker and they gain a life. This way they don't gain a life. And then I'll just make some goblins here. I guess I could play the Sliver instead. I'd rather have a hard-to-target Sliver or a couple 1/1s. Probably a couple 1/1s. Let's get as aggressive as we can here. Put as much power on the board as possible. This puts 2 damage per turn out instead of just 1. They're down to 1 card in hand. So I doubt it's going to be like a great removal spell that they would want to use on Diffusion Sliver. So if we're not like drawing removal out, just get more damage to support these dragons. Make them finish our opponent off quicker. But yeah, as I said, I'm pretty sure Flame Sweep is just going to close this one out for us. The one-sided, not completely one-sided, but clearing their board with just one card in hand for them when we have 5 cards in hand. It is putting our opponent in an incredibly bad position. It'll be very, very hard to come back from. They'll have to draw quite well. And we've got some exceptional cards in hand. Again, we have that Scion of Shiv, perpetually getting +1/+0 every time we pump it. And of course, the Thunderbreak Regent, the big rare dragon tribal. Whenever they target one of our dragons, they take 3 damage. So even if they remove these, they take extra damage. And I don't know what's in their hand, but probably not something super good here. It seems like they might be roping us, because they might just have been out of it from the Flame Sweep. This might be the rope concession here. And that looks to be the case. They may have just left the computer for other reasons. But either way. Oh! They are back. Maybe they had to go take a quick bathroom break or something. You never know. Alright, Incendiary Oracle, a 2/2 on the ground. That'll stop the Goblin tokens from getting in, but the Thunderbreak Regent's still going to get in this guy. I'm not going to spend a removal spell on their creature on the ground. I'd like to save this in case they get a flyer, because we've got plenty of other powerful flyers to put on the board. So we keep attacking in the sky and keep the skies clear with Heartless Act. Play Rapacious Dragon here. We're unlikely to have the extra mana to keep giving the Scion of Shiv extra power, because we've just got more flying creatures to cast here. So I might as well play the more expensive one that'll spit out some treasures for the future. The Scion of Shiv here, as cool as the ability is, it is a mana sink ability, so it's going to cost us quite a bit. We're not going to use that kind of effect until we've already cast all our other creatures. So we might as well play the Scion as our last creature. Bloodsheep's Thirst to clear out the Rapacious Dragon. Thunderbreak Regent is going to go ahead and still damage our opponent. But they will clear out one dragon that way. We'll take the trade here with the Oracle. Our 1/1s for their 2/2. Just keep this board pretty clear and focus in on these dragons. So, Scion of Shiv here means we've got lethal damage next turn. And one card left, Deathless Ancient. It is a flyer, but we can blow it up with Heartless Act here to completely close things out. That is 7 damage in the sky, put him to -1 here, and end it. So that was a pretty great run for the Sarkhan Sliver Hive here. 1 loss into 2 wins. And Return to the Ranks is the card that we get as our second random rare. This one has been seeing a bit of a splash in Historic. I don't know if it's It's in the best decks, but I've seen people brewing around with this card. There are a lot of cards that are like whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, drain your opponent for a life, and they all cost like 2 mana. So you can use a card like Return to the Ranks after milling yourself a bunch to get a ton of creatures on the board in one turn and drain your opponent for a ton of life. So a really cool deck. It uses like the 1 mana 1/1s that mill yourself 3 cards. It uses the multiple 2 mana 2/2s like Corpse Knight and stuff that drain your opponent life. There, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life. And then there's like there's one from Amonkhet. They use Wayward Servant. Whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So yeah, the Corpse Knight Wayward Servant combo with Stitcher Supplier to mill yourself. So I have seen that deck making a little bit of waves. I don't know how competitive it is, but definitely cool to get Return the Ranks for that deck. Anyways, that is going to end today's video. The Jumpstart Historic Horizons run. Definitely a much faster one, a much more basic deck here. We're just slamming down creatures and attacking than the last one where we had that hour-long Delirium video. But as always, if you enjoy these videos and you want to see more, just stick around. I do these videos relatively frequently on the channel. And, yeah. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again for some more Magic Arena very soon. I do have, I always forget to mention this, I'm super bad at content creation, but I've got big plans for the launch of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. You can check out the Twitch channel in the link below if you are interested in that. I will be live streaming the first few days of the set launch for quite a while. Going to be doing as many drafts as I can very quickly to get a grasp of the format as quickly as possible. And of course, for at least the first week of the set's release, we'll have daily drafts of Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So that is the next big thing on the horizons starting September 16th. Super pumped for the new Innistrad set, and we will have tons of that content out for you all as soon as the set comes out. So anyways, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.